part 2 of the Isaac marries Rebekah story in Genesis 24:48 through the end of the chapter. Now, when Rebekah's family, Laban and Bethuel, heard everything Abraham's servant had said, they spoke. They said Rebekah could go because this was something that God had caused to happen. They would not fight against God's will. The servant bowed himself to the ground to God in worship and thanksgiving. Then the servant brought out the gifts that he had carried on the camels. He had brought enough gifts for the whole family. He had jewels with silver and jewels set in gold and expensive garments or clothes. He gave Rebekah many beautiful things. Also, her mother and brother received nice gifts as well. And everyone ate and drank into the late night with great happiness. And when the next morning came, the servant was ready to leave as soon as he could. Rebekah's mother and brother wanted her to stay for 10 days to say a long goodbye. But the servant still wanted to go as soon as he could. I think he was worried that he might not get back for his aged master Abraham with good news before it was, before he died. He was afraid that he would not serve his master well if he didn't get right back as soon as he could. So rather than to argue, Rebekah's brother said that they would ask Rebekah what she wanted to do. She said that she was ready to go. She got herself ready to go, and she got her childhood nurse, who is someone like a substitute mother, and several maids that she had, or damsels, that had been all her friends and helpers. The family blessed her and let her go with these words: "Thou art our sister. Be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let thy seed possess the gate of those who would hate thee." Genesis 24:60. Then Rebekah and her ladies left on their very long trip to the land where Abraham and Isaac lived. Do you think she asked the servant all about Isaac and his family while they traveled? What questions would you have asked him if you had been there? Meanwhile, back at Abraham's home, Isaac, who had been living a small distance away from his father, moved back home again. He went out every evening to the fields to meditate and to watch for the travelers. Finally, one evening, he saw the camels coming his direction. When the caravan got close enough to see Isaac, Rebekah stopped her camel and jumped off. She went to the servant and asked, "Who is that man who is in the field coming to meet us?" The servant said that it was his master Isaac. Rebekah went and put on a veil. Now let me tell you what a veil is. A veil is a lightweight cloth to cover a young woman's head and her face. It was a symbol for young women to show that she was not married yet. It was kind of a protection to keep other young men from looking at her. and to show that she was a very modest lady. Until she was promised to be married, it was to just one young man. It was a way for Rebekah to show Isaac that she did want Isaac for her husband and no other. Isaac guided Rebekah and her ladies to his mother's tent. That's Sarah, who had not too long before had died, and he took her to an honorable place, to his mother's tent, until they could be married. And this is how they began their life together. Isaac soon loved Rebekah, and they were married. And I think that's a beautiful love story, how a young girl or woman left her home to find happiness in a completely different land. And we'll hear more about their love story and their family in stories to come.